Thinking about grabbing yourself a new surf watch? Let's talk about the Ripcurl Search GPS 2. Hi guys, Chris from Stoked for Travel here, or welcome back to the channel. Now before I get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any video goodness. Now today we're going to be talking about surf watches, or more specifically the Ripcurl Search GPS 2. We're going to be talking about what it does, how it handles in the water, the feedback you can get from it, and whether it's worth the investment. So yeah, let's get started. So first things first, what kind of features does the Ripcurl Search GPS 2 come loaded with? Well, you've got everything right here on the wrist to check the surf conditions and also track your surf sessions too. So the biggest upgrade on the standard tidal data, which you'll also get as part of the watch, is the GPS surf tracking and also paddle tracking. Now the two other features that come preloaded onto the watch are real-time swell and wind data. So you can check for the best surf conditions and then go track your sessions too. Now, obviously that GPS is what you're paying the extra for over the standard tidal watches, but it's also worth mentioning that these tracking features can be used on other sports such as swimming, running and snowboarding. Obviously today we're going to be focusing in on the surf. Now when it comes to the build of the Ripcurl Search GPS 2 surf watch, it's a pretty solid piece of kit. It's built out of ABS hardened plastic with a rubberized strap. Now compared to some other watches out there, including the Apple Surf Watch, which I'm going to talk about in a bit later as well, it does feel a bit chunky, but that's because you are getting that extra GPS technology built into it. Now the strap itself feels really firm and secure, and I've had no problems with it in the lineup or surfing, and it doesn't feel like it's going to come loose at any point. I will say it's not the most comfortable surf strap I've ever worn, but it's also not the worst either, so you're barely going to notice it when you're out in the lineup. Now, even though the build quality of the watch itself is really solid, it's certainly not scuff resistant, so please keep that in mind. I've picked up a few scrapes and scuffs while I've been testing it out, and apparently the straps can wear out, but from the reports I've seen, Ripcurl are pretty good on the ball about getting replacements out to people as well, but that's one thing worth noting too. Now when it comes to battery life and charging, it takes about 3 hours to fully charge your Ripcurl Surf Watch, and out of that you get about 7 hours worth of surf tracking time, so pretty solid. Now if you're just using it as a standard watch with the surf report on there, it can last 2 to 3 months, which is obviously really good, especially over things like the Apple Surf Watch, which I have to charge every day. Now when it comes to charging, it can be a little bit niggly. It comes with this little weird USB clamp thing that clamps onto the side of the watch. It can be a little bit difficult to line up, so just make sure you do get it all clamped on properly before you leave it to charge, because you don't want to come back and find out it's still dead. But yeah, really good battery life on it for all the technology that's packed into it, so I've got no qualms on that front. Now when it comes to checking out all the data on your surf watch, you'll need to connect it to your smartphone. Now one of the first things I quickly noticed was it's an iOS only app, so the Ripcurl Search GPS app is not available on Android. However, there is a desktop version, so if you're using an Android phone, you'll have to download that onto your computer to access all your data. If you're on an Apple smartphone, no, happy days, you can just download that and sync it straight up with your watch. Now the app itself is pretty basic, and I was a little bit miffed that you can't update things like the time, your tidal location and things like that via the app. You have to do it manually through the buttons on the watch itself. So that's an update that I would like to see on it. Also within the app, you can also track other people's surf sessions as well, so you can have a bit of friendly rivalry with your friends if they're also rocking the surf watch as well. You can also follow some of the Ripcurl team too in the following surfers section, people like Owen Wright, Mick Fanning, Gabriel Medina. Now that's really cool in theory, but a lot of them aren't tracking their surf sessions on it now. I think the latest update from Owen Wright was actually in 2019, and by the looks of the map, it's more him driving home from Snapper than the actual surf session itself. So yeah, that's great in theory, but unfortunately, in my experience, that isn't a great part of the app. Other than that, you're going to be using the app to update all your surf sessions and be able to sync all your data and have a look through your sessions and all the stats it's collecting, but we're going to move on to that next. Now obviously one of the biggest and key features of the Ripcurl Search GPS 2 watch is the fact you can track your surf sessions and analyze all the data. Now setting yourself up to go surfing with the Ripcurl Search Watch is actually really simple. All you need to do is hit that button on the left hand side of your watch, use the bottom right button to scroll down to track, hit OK, scroll down to go track, and then you'll get a nice spinning globe feature while the GPS locks in. As soon as that GPS is locked in, feel free to paddle out, go surf and enjoy your session. In fact, even if it hasn't locked in before you paddle out, it will lock in during your session. So just get out there into the lineup and start catching waves, and it will soon catch up with you. Then obviously when you get out of the water, just hit stop and you'll be able to sync all your data back to your smartphone when you're back at the car or your house. Now, while you are in the water surfing, you can also scroll through all the key stats from your session, such as how many waves you had, total distance paddled, the top speed, and also your wave count as well. So that's some awesome little features that you can scroll through in the lineup while you're in the middle of your session. But yeah, then once you get back to land, sync it up with your phone, and that's where the real fun begins. So you had an epic surf, you caught heaps of waves, you're back on dry land, and now it's time to check everything the Surf Watch has tracked for you. So obviously the first things first, we need to pick up our smartphone and sync everything to the app. So the first thing you need to do, boot up that Ripcurl Search GPS app. It'll bring you to the home screen of following, and it'll sync everything up via Bluetooth. Now if you click on My Surfs, you can then see your latest session there, which is mine from the past in Australia. Click on that and it brings up your entire session on a nice GPS map. So you can see here, you've got all your waves highlighted on that GPS map, and also some top stats from your session. So total wave surfed, top speed, longest wave, distance paddled, total surf time, and your total distance. So that's the paddle distance plus your wave surf distance as well. Now from here, you can swipe up and it brings up even more stats from your session, including the surf report, which I think is pretty neat. So that's the swell height and direction, the wind speed and direction, and also the state of the tide. So it's a great little tool if you are trying to hone in on the best conditions for a break you're surfing consistently. And if you swipe down again, it gives even more of an overview of your whole surf session. And you can see all the wave distances, so that's the distance from left to right on that bar chart, and also your top speeds for each wave as well. Now the wave highlighted in red is your top wave, so you can see there I surfed over 120 meters on that wave, hit a top speed of 19.1 miles an hour, which is pretty sick. And now if you scroll back up to the top and the overall view of your session, you'll see there's a play button in the top right. Now if you do click on that play button, you have a replay of your entire session. What you do is press play, and then in the bottom corner you can speed it up by 10 times or 20 times. And that white line there is all your paddling across the session, and then the blue lines that come through are then your waves. So you need to press play in between each. It's a good way of seeing how you're moving around in the lineup and how that results in a wave during your session too. If you do go back to your overall view of the GPS map, if you tap on it again, you can also add in your paddling as an overview as well. So if you click that, you have a whole mess of waves around there where you're moving around in the lineup. It's great to see where your positioning is, where you are in the lineup, and how much paddle power you put into an entire session as well. So yeah, you can take that out again, zoom out, and then that's the overview of your session. But yeah, that's all the stats you can get from your Ripcurl Search GPS watch. Obviously, the paddle power is pretty cool, but the main thing is obviously the wave selection and where you're catching those waves from, and also the stats from those waves too. Okay, a super quick one here for you. What does the Ripcurl Search GPS 2 watch cost? Well, if you're in America, it'll cost you about $299. If you're in Australia, that's 399 Australian dollars. Or if you're in the UK, that's 249 British pounds. So yeah, it's not the cheapest investment, but you are getting a whole heap of technology in the watch for that price. Okay, so now it's time for the big question. How does the Ripcurl Search GPS 2 stack up against the Apple Watch? Well, if you've been following the channel for a while, you know that the Apple Watch has been my go-to surf watch for the last few years of traveling around the world. And you can also get all the functionality of the GPS 2 right here on your Apple Watch using an app called Dawn Patrol. So that includes the up-to-date tidal data, swell direction, wind conditions, and of course all your surf tracking as well. Obviously, the added extras you can get on an Apple Watch are all the extra apps and functions outside of surfing as well as being able to sync all your surfing data in with your health and fitness app as well. And on top of that, you can also then choose a huge range of wristbands for your watch if you are running the Apple Watch. They come in all kinds of styles and colors, so you can really match it in with your personality. For me, that's the Apple Solo Loop. It's super comfortable, secure, and it's my go-to surf watch band. Now, does this extra functionality come at an extra price with the Apple Watch? Well, if you do go with the Apple Watch SE, which is one of the latest Apple Watches out there, and is more than capable of tracking your surfing using Dawn Patrol, it actually works out slightly cheaper in the States. In fact, it's $50 less than the GPS 2. If you are in the Australia or the UK, it's about £20 more expensive for the Apple Watch SE, or 50 Aussie dollars. But obviously that extra money does get you all the extra functionality of the Apple Watch. Okay, so the final thoughts on this: is the Ripcurl Search GPS 2 worth it? Well, it is a solid piece of tech and it does the job, and more importantly, it does the job well. So if you're looking for a dedicated surf watch to track all your surfing and give you all that feedback, it is a solid investment. However, that being said, the Apple Watch is still my surf watch of choice, just because of the price and the extra benefits you get from it. And not only that, is the solo loop band on the Apple Watch is certainly more comfortable than the Ripcurl Search Watch strap as well. So yeah, overall, it is a great piece of kit, but the Apple Surf Watch was still my top recommendation. And there you have it, guys. That's my full review of the Ripcurl Search GPS 2 watch and whether I think it's the surf watch to buy. Now, if you have any other questions about the Ripcurl Search GPS 2 watch, chuck them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. If you want to check out my full surf watch guide, including the Apple Surf Watch rundown, the link's in the description below. That's it for this week, guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next week.